Ulonkata bati yada tó yẹ kó máa da Ifá. Inú tó yẹ kó jẹun ló fi bí pa. Ọba tálá, ọba takuntakun. Shango, Èṣù, Ogun, Ọya, Arshun. Ìwọ ló ń bọ̀ nílé. Kí ni ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ tán ṣe nílé yìí o? Ó jẹ́ lọ jára.
USA, Baba Ogun, Tolu, Alafia, Bora Boya, Boshishe, Baba. How you doing today? Ashe. Man, so it's been a long time since I had the honor of having the Balogun bless these Ashe streets, man. But I definitely look forward to today's conversation, and I definitely appreciate you and everything you've done, not only for my own personal journey within the culture of Isheshe, but also for all of the people whose lives you've touched in regards to the work that you've done, not just here in the USA, in the diaspora, or in the Atlanta, Georgia area, but also across the globe, in Nigeria, Ghana, you know, and everywhere that you've been, the Philippines, where you've been doing, you know, the work that you do. So I definitely give thanks, a huge mudupwe, and, you know, much love and appreciation for all that you do, Baba.
Adukwe. Yeah, well, I'm grateful to be here as well. And we'd like to start by honoring Olorun, Ela Olodumare. The Odu is Osagunda. There were no living things was the priest on earth. That which was suspended but did not descend was the priest in heaven. All was just empty space with no substance was the priest of midair. It was divine for earth and heaven when they both existed with no inhabitants in the two empty shells. There were neither birds nor spirits living in them. Olodumare then created himself, being the primal cause, which is the reason we call Olodumare the only wise one on earth. On earth, he is the only cause in creation, the only wise one in heaven who created humans. When he had no companions, he applied wisdom to the situation to avert any disaster. You alone, the only one in heaven, is the name of Olodumare, the only wise one. We give you thanks, the only knowing mind. You created man. Listening to one side of an argument, you judged, and all are pleased. I've always loved that particular verse in Osagunda, verse of Ifa, praising Olodumare and the attributes of Olodumare. Certain parts that have really touched my soul is the parts how Olodumare then created himself. And then that statement of creating oneself gives the impression, or, you know, gives the power to the story, because to create yourself, that means you are creation, giving that feeling of going out, of expansion, of activity, a creative activity. So Olodumare himself, or itself, would to me seem more like beyond creation or outside of creation. Just like when you create something, it comes out of you. So it becomes part of you. So therefore, Olodumare has created this thought, and the thought was made manifest.
Ashe.
The thought world, or what they call the ideational world, moving into what's called the astral world, and then moving into the physical world. So those aspects we see of creation is time comes out. Time gives you the illusion that things are moving, you see. Then space comes out. Space gives you the illusion that things are separate. And then atoms come out. And then atoms are the building blocks of all solid things, all matter. So the literature of Ifa, as the literature of all spiritual traditions in one way or another, is really cosmology. You see? It's really cosmology. You are taking religious or spiritual concepts and you are turning them in to scientific concepts. You
Mm.
see? So
Yes, sir.
really, it's a science. We're really practice all of the sciences within the Odu, the sacred scripture. It's a science there.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, with the proper exposure, you meet elders as I have met, because it's nothing really that I'm saying that I didn't learn from my teachers. I guess that really goes for all of us in some ways. But there are some instances where the divine forces teach you from within.
I
You
sure.
see, you can get the answers from within, and really, that's where the most powerful ones for yourself, for transforming yourself, has got to come from. It's got to come from within.
I sure.
So that Odu Ifa Sagunda, praising Olodumare and saying that Olodumare has created himself, took me into the science of many of the great teachers taught the science of creation and how it comes.
Mm. I sure.
So may we all in some way feel the blessing of Olodumare, knowing that the Ori, which is next in the Isheshia tradition, the next honored after Olodumare. And I like to say the Ori is the higher self.
Mm. I sure.
It is that unit of God consciousness or Olodumare consciousness within you.
Cool. I sure. And you know what, Baba? It's amazing that you said that in regards to like space and time, because
Yes.
the last time I saw you, about a month ago, I think, or less than a month ago, I remember being, in your compound and just looking at the sky and looking at the stars at night. And
Yes.
it's the way
Yes.
you're situated in nature. I'm like, yo, I haven't seen the sky this clear in a long time. And I just remember looking at those stars, and I've been a student, of astronomy and astrology and all that for a while. And I just recall
Yeah.
pulling out, look at the different planets and the stars that was in alignment with where we were at. But it's amazing because I had a podcast with Baba Karaday earlier, and we were also talking about space and time and things of that nature. But brings me back to when we were at the Oni's Palace in Ile Ife, and we saw during the tour where we saw the beautiful poster that they had where it talks about how
Yes.
Orisha is aligned to a different planet. And I'm like, yo,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes. It's
I
true.
say.
And actually that one thing that I have to go back to and admire about when I first got into the tradition
Mhm.
in the early 80s, the priests, the teachers in Oyotunji, in the African village in South Carolina, were excellent. I mean, they part of the priest curriculum was you had to learn those things.
Wow.
Yeah, you actually given a very good curriculum. You had to learn African history, you had to learn geography, you had to learn astrology, you had to learn numerology, you had to learn all these different sciences,
Wow.
And so it kind of rounded you out. And there's sometimes an argument that certain sciences are not part of the Isheshe tradition. But nobody's going to tell me that Yorubas or people in that part of West Africa didn't travel around the world. Nobody's going to tell me that.
Right.
So if you travel around the world, you're going to get exposed to different sciences. So what do you say? Oh, I'm a Yoruba traditionalist. I can't study that. Well, I'm a priest of Ifa, and Ifa doesn't include that.
Right.
No.
Right.
No.
Sure.
You can't go with that limiting type of viewpoint. And in many ways, we have to be Africanists in our spiritual traditions as well.
That's facts. Big facts.
So you're not going to tell me that the Icon tradition is not just as beautiful as the Yoruba tradition. They all are valid. They all have their wonderful spiritual traditions embedded in them.
Yes, sir.
What about the Vodun tradition? What about the Sangoma tradition?
The Kemetic sciences.
Kemetic tradition, all of that. We have access to all of that.
Yes, sir.
And if Ifa technically, which means the truth of the seen and the unseen world, is real, then it didn't say the seen or the unseen land. It says the seen or the unseen world.
Right. Sure.
Then the world is open to our study,
Sure.
as well as all the knowledge and wisdom contained within it and above it.
Sure. And speaking on that too, Baba, if I'm not mistaken, I recall you taught me something in regards to how even the nation of Islam or Islam is. What was the connection? The you told me there was a connection with Islam and the Odus or Ifa.
Yeah, the 99 names of Allah, of God, are Odus.
Sure.
Yes, you know.
I had no idea the Muslim population was so dominant in Nigeria until I went with you, back in March. I was amazed by the influence of Islam in Nigeria.
Yes, it's very strong. It's very strong. And of course, among West Africans in general, it's Islam, Christianity, and Ishesha tradition is really embedded in the families in Nigeria.
Yeah.
You know, your uncles are Muslim, but the thing is, essentially, when you begin to talk about family dynamics, the traditionalists may be the wealthiest person in the family.
Sure.
So everybody comes to him, Muslim, Christian. They're gonna come to him seeking his support.
Yeah.
That's the truth dynamic. But if the wealthiest person in the family is a Christian, then that person holds the responsibility in the same way. So it doesn't matter. The most wealthiest person in any African family has a responsibility, an ancestral responsibility to take care of their family.
Sure. Yes, sir. Well, I tell you what, man, I love it, Baba. And with that, there's a couple of things that I know in particular that you want to speak on today. So I would love to kind of segue into that and get your take and your wisdom and your knowledge in regards to these topics. But one of them is the role and position of the Balogun Shango. Can you kind of share with us the significance of who? Let me rephrase that: of what the Balogun Shango is and means, but also how you are using your role and your position as the Balogun Shango of USA to pour into and to empower our, not just our community, but also our culture.
I say. Yeah, well, it's a backstory to that. Of course, I've been an Ogun priest for 45 years now. And within the 12th year of my priesthood of Ogun, I made Ifa in Osogbo in Nigeria, 1992.
Sure.
I went back in 1993 for my first Ifa festival. And that's when I met the Araba of Osogbo at that time, who's deceased at this time. His name was Chief Afalabi Fabumi. When I first met him the first day, his great-grandson had fainted. And interesting enough, I was sitting in the other room and I heard them. It was full of bunch of Ifa priests in there. And I heard them rattling around and calling this young man's name, I think was Muad'Din, something like that, Muad'Din. And the spirit jumped on me and made me get up. And I didn't know none of these people. I got up, went into the room, and I kind of moved the Babalals out of the way. And here now I'm a young man. I'm in my mid-30s, or my late 30s. And I moved the Babalals away, and my instinct said, give this boy CPR. And that's what I did. I gave him CPR, and he revived. That's all I remember.
That's good.
And after that, me and the Araba became like this.
Wow.
You see? And that man loved me and I loved him. And
That's
he
it.
really set a wonderful example of compassion for me because I saw him in some moments where compassion was needed. And he
Mm,
really, really stepped up to the plate. So I admired the man. I admired his qualities.
mm,
So in 2001, I believe it is, he passed away. And at
mm,
the time, I was still, actively leading the realm of Ileori Ifa Temple in Atlanta.
mm,
And when the Araba died, I went to Nigeria, to Oshogbo, to put a plaque on his grave from our temple, Ileori Ifa Temple.
mm.
And 2 weeks after I got back, he came to me in a dream.
Wow.
And he was sitting in this chair, and he had two young drummers, dun drummers, on each side of this chair. And when the
Mm,
chair swung around in the dream,
wow.
it was him, but his skin was scales, like the scales of a fish,
Wow.
all over his
Mm,
arms, his face, everything. You see, he was dressed in traditional clothing, but his flesh that was exposed was in scales, fish scales.
that's deep. Wow.
Yes. He didn't
Mm,
say anything. He got up, walked over to me, and he gave me this symbol, which I wear around my neck. I've been having this symbol around my neck now since 2001. And it was a Shango symbol, double-headed axe. And he handed it to me, and he said, "You're the commander."
mm,
And after he said that, I woke up, and I was
wow.
like, "What?" I said, "Well, I wasn't thinking about Shango, was far from my mind. I
Right.
didn't think I was going to go through any other initiations anymore. You know, I didn't know what I was commander of. I was like, commander of what? I had no idea. But 22, 23 years later, when I went back to Oshobo to watch all of my grandchildren get initiated to Ifa, my daughter happened to be there because she was the one that orchestrated the trip. And I decided that I needed another initiation. So I asked my good friend, Baba Shango, at the time, Baba asked Shango if he will accept me.
Mm,
And Shango said, yeah. So I got initiated to Ifa.
mm,
Did not know that the Are Adosu Shango Agbaye, which is the chief chairman of all Shango priests worldwide, was there at the
mm,
initiation ceremony.
mm,
And he came up to me and he said, Ogun Tolu, we want to give you a title,
mm.
Balogun Shango USA. And so
Wow.
my daughter who was sitting right next to me, she said, Baba, she said, this is just like your dream.
Mm, wow.
Because I
Wow.
had told her about the dream many years ago.
Wow.
But I didn't know commander. When he told me I was the commander in the dream, that's what Balogun means, the commander.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm,
So look, I didn't take the title. The title took me.
mm.
Okay. And believe me, I didn't know nothing. As a matter of fact, once I got initiated Shango, I realized how much I didn't know about Shango. Never really took it, that I needed to study Shango, even though it did show up in my hand of Ifa that I had received many, many, many years ago before my Ifa initiation, that I needed to respect Shango and Shango's priests and that, stay close to Shango. So all that was there.
mm,
So that kind of followed me. And when the title was given to me, then I realized that, the spirit had shown me 20 something years ago that this was what I'm supposed to do.
that's it.
So they like handed me my purpose.
Mm,
They handed me my purpose. Yeah. And Ifa says and the ancient teachers say that the meaning of life is to find your gift. And the purpose of life is to turn around and give it away.
Ashe. Mm.
So you come to a point in your life, which some often say the evening of your life starts at 56, 57. Then that's when you begin to start, taking into account what you've gained, and you start sharing it and giving it to others. Because that's what's going to happen anyway.
Right.
That's what's going to happen anyway. You don't take what you have when you leave here.
Facts.
You only take what you gave. That's the only thing that goes with you is what you gave.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because there's a quote that I've shared on this channel many times that I learned from Les Brown. I don't know if he made it up, but I know I heard it from him. But he says, what we do for ourselves when we transition, that goes with us. But what we do for others stays here forever. And I was like, yo, that's dope. That's deep. And it pretty much sounds like the same message that you just shared.
And not only it stays here, it goes with you too.
Yeah. The
because
legacy.
when you look at it, what did the kinetic system talk about? Weighing the heart with what? A feather.
Sir. Yeah.
So when you give, your heart is light, full of light. Your heart is full of joy. There's nothing greater. There's no greater experience than sharing and caring and giving to others, especially when they're worthy. Especially when they're worthy. That's icing on the cake right there, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's icing on the cake.
Yes, sir. Man, I'm telling you, it's funny because you and Baba Ifa Kerede remind me so much of each other. But even on a call I had with him recently, he was speaking about how he didn't choose Ifa. Ifa chose him. And it sounds very similar to your experience. Because your very first initiation in Oyotunji was what, 86? Was it 86 or 89?
No, it was 1980.
Oh wow, 1980?
Yeah.
That's what's up. That was the year I was born.
Right. I went there. The beginning was 1979, but I got initiated to Ogun in 1980. Yeah.
Wow.
So and all initiations, as they should in some way relieve us from some ajogun or the negative ajogun that has been affecting us. And for me, Ogun took away the fear of death. Yeah. I had a lot of fear when it came to the spirit world due to things that I had been involved in when I was a little child, because I lived right behind Baltimore City Cemetery.
Wow.
And we played in the cemetery, a lot when we were children. And I would have nightmares all the time about, things coming out of the cemetery.
Wow.
And chasing me. But of course, I didn't put two and two together.
Right. Wow.
I need to keep my ASS out of the damn cemetery.
Listen.
Yeah, so your initiations, what they do, they take away something that needs to be resolved in your life. At least one thing that's really important. For some people, it's anxiety. To other people, it's fear. But it's always some human detriment or some human weakness.
Yeah.
That keeps you from growing. And fear blocks growth.
Yes. But even like taboos. Yeah. Even taboos, Baba. Because I've heard a lot of people that, during their Itai, the taboos that come up, sometimes that I've heard. I mean, even recently, I've heard several priests or priestesses that I've talked to where they had certain things taken away from them during their Itai. But they, at the time when they found out and got the message, they were upset or angry, or frustrated. But then hindsight, a couple of years later, like, wow, now I see why they took that away, because I've done this or I've done that, or what I'm saying? Like, it was always I feel like a foundation or like a spark of growth, to where they've grown in certain areas or aspects of their lives from removing those taboos from their life. So that's a powerful thing.
It is. And the healing is necessary. So it took my Ogun initiation, took away the fear of death. It took away it healed the relationship between me and my father.
Sure.
And that was critical.
Sure.
And Arshun had a direct play in that. But that was Maita. Maita said, hey, Arshun is saying that you and your father don't see eye to eye, but she's going to take care of that.
Wow. Wow.
And how did she take care of it? Through laughter.
Wow.
Through laughter, because that's the way Arshun comes often. When she comes and she possesses her children, you hear her laughter, and you say, oh, it's Arshun.
Wow. That's
So
dope.
my father had said some derogatory joke, about my wife to be or something, and I didn't like it. I shouldn't like it.
Right.
But
right.
he laughed, and Arshun touched me in such a way that she said, laugh with your father. And I laughed with him, and it broke the curse.
Wow.
It broke the curse, Orisha baby.
Yes, sir.
Ifa Gade, Jagun Shango, USA. I'm telling you, that's the testimony.
Listen, and I'm gonna tell you, that's what me and my father, because I told you like yesterday, I think we were talking. My pops is a fool. I love him to life. I say it respectfully, but he's one of the funniest people I know. He is a fool. But look, I said that respectfully about you too, because every time I talk to you, we laughing, man, because you be cutting the fool. And it's like, I be telling people I know personally that know you, I'm like, man, when I call Baba, I don't know what name he gonna call me. I said, I don't know if he doing it on purpose or it is what it is. I said, but every time I talk to him, he called me a different name every time.
Well, I tell you what, you starting to pile the names up as you go. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna have a whole bunch of more names between 10 years from now. I got around 15, 20 names right now. They gave me another name in Ghana last week. I can't even keep up with all the names.
I had somebody laughing yesterday, a couple of days ago. I was doing some work for some class, and I was laughing out loud because I don't never really say all of them. I said, but when I do certain prayers, or rituals, offerings, I'll say all of them. I said, but man, I got so many. Sometimes it'd be hard for me to remember all the dogs.
Hey, but remember, the essence of those things that we call names are really qualities.
Yeah.
You see, so when I say Ifa Bade, and that is correct, right?
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Ifa gave you a crown. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's real.
So I'm just exciting the air with the qualities that you're supposed to incorporate in your life. Because that's what every deity is.
Yes.
It's a quality that we must incorporate into our lives. If we don't, then why the hell are we doing this?
I know that's right.
So you're going to bring Obatala, an offering, and to worship the Obatala energy outside of yourself and completely ignore the Obatala energy within you.
Yeah.
And so the Obatala energy outside of you, the deity said, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want that gift. I want you to have more calmness. I want you to be more patient. I want you to control your anger. I want you to reflect the qualities that I represent.
Sure.
This is what this is all about.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's real.
Those Orishas are principles that we're supposed to follow.
Yes.
And if we teach, we've got to, the best way to teach people is repetition. Yeah. So we got to keep teaching and saying this over and over again till the people who are going to be coming, and some that are here say, wait a minute, I'm talking about Ogun, come and save me. Should I need to use some of that Ogun quality to save myself, to participate in that?
Facts.
It's participation. It's participation.
Yes.
So after the Ogun initiation, then, the Ifa initiation came, and, you're not, Ifa will ask you what you want. And so the first thing came to my mouth was, I want to be an honored son of Africa. That's what I want to be.
Sure.
Because Africa was born in me. That's what I wanted to be.
Well, you got it.
Well, I asked for it.
Yeah, you got that, buddy.
And it came, but, of course, when you always go up on that stage to receive an award or whatever, the reality hits you square between the eyes.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not about what you receive, it's how you feel when you receive it.
That's
You
it.
know, that's what it is. Because all of this experience, much of this experience that we're going through really is trying to find a feeling, looking for a feeling. Even if we look through it by knowledge and education or whatever way you're going to go, you're really looking for a way to transmute that energy into a vibrational frequency that you can feel. You see,
That's facts.
that's what it's about. Because you can't know God. You can know God intellectually, but you can only feel God through the heart.
That's real.
That's the real experience, is what you feel.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
It's like talking about marriage as if you know what it is, but you ain't never been married.
Right. Yeah. People who talk about like try to teach you or coach you on parenting, but ain't never had no children. You know what I mean? Like you got to actually go through, the experience, to have experience.
Right. You have a better chance of knowing something by feeling it.
Yes.
It's like the brothers on the street say, "You feel me? You feel me, bro?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So that means that your atomic energy, or your molecular energy, your cellular energy, but let's say your atoms are flowing from you right into that person, so that they can feel what you're saying. Yes. It's a vibrational frequency. So, the great teachers would say, if you talk from your soul, you're going to touch other people's souls.
Yes, sir. That's facts.
Yes, but you can't talk from here. You got to talk from here. You see? So you got two different sides of the brain, that's like duality. But interesting enough, the heart has the same amount of neurons, I think it's 40,000 or something, as the brain does. So the heart is a brain too.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's not divided into two. It's one. You see? So you get a whole other kind of truth that comes from the heart than you get that comes from the brain.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
That's why the heart is often shown a lot in the iconography of spiritual traditions all over the world.
Yeah, and what's amazing to me, Baba, is like literally as you're saying that, I could hear in spirit in my head, but three people popped up in my head like at the same time when you talk about the experience of communication and heart, and the first three my names that popped up in my mind was like Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, and Tupac. And all three of them were international phenoms in regards to the impact that they had on the globe. But I feel like the reason they were so impactful or influential is because all of them spoke from their heart. Whether you liked them or not, you felt them. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
you felt exactly. Whether you like what they were saying or not, you felt them because they spoke so passionately from their heart, and it's a real thing.
Yes. Wow. This is why Ifa says, don't take life too seriously, but I am as sincere to you as you are to me. Gotcha. So it's like sincerity is required to experience a mystical life where the deities within you and outside of you, the ancestors, the Orishas, and of course your Ori, which is number one, will take you through a magical experience. And not that you're going to have a magical experience every day, you know what I'm saying? But you will have experiences in your life that's really just out of this world. It's unexplainable.
Yeah.
You would have to say, I had a divine experience, or this prophecy has come to pass.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And that's another thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I would say that's another thing is real because like just sitting here listening to you, I have them all the time. And it's like, even like the conversations that we have, those are to me magical experiences because you I was just talking about this earlier. You like the epitome of unbothered. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I love that because I'm serious too, Baba. Like,
That's
because
funny.
I didn't see you.
I don't see my way. I don't see myself like that, but it's interesting that you say that. But
I
it's
see it and I feel it. And I'm telling you, think about this. The trip that you came back from Ghana when you was over there for a while ago, you came back and it was all kind of chaos and foolishness going on, and we both was going through some things. And I just remember you telling me, like, you told me the whole story, but at the end of it, you like, it's just been a lot of shit. And then we both just laughed because it was so much crazy chaos. You would have thought it was like from the script of a movie. But the fact that you could sit there and talk about the way you did, and then we laughed about it, like that's a different level of like unbothered, you know what I'm saying? Or even like several conversations we had recently with things that I might have been struggling with or things that I'm going through, and I come to you, to get your guidance and your counsel. And then the way you just kind of break it down, it's like, damn, why am I tripping? Like, you know what I'm saying? It really ain't that serious for real. So it's like I really take note to those things or those attributes, and I'm like, I need to implement that within me because that to me is Obatala, like manifesting within you, and I'm able to see that, that patience and to see that unbotheredness, and then I can take that from your tool belt and then apply it to mine and put it in, you know what I'm saying, put it into my arsenal of tools to use to work on myself, and to kind of invoke that same energy or that unbotheredness within myself that I see displayed through you. So it's a really powerful thing, man. And you probably can't see it or don't feel it because what they say is you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. You know what I mean? So it's like, but I see it, and it's like I appreciate it because it gives me the ability to know that I can do this too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. Well, the great teachers say is that any spiritual practice is supposed to lead you to spiritual growth.
I sure.
And you can't, look, at 70 years old, I'm still growing too.
Oh yeah.
But I feel I've grown much more than when I was 60 years old.
Yes, sir.
I grow much more about, when you're 50, you think you know everything you need to know. Then when you get 60, you look back, when you was 50 and you say, well, damn, I got a different perspective now or grow, a more mature perspective.
Yeah.
And then when you get 70, look, it keeps going.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop.
Yes,
it
sir.
doesn't stop.
Yes, sir.
So you're expected to grow into more calmness because that's how you measure your spiritual growth. Is how calm you become.
Yes.
I mean, maybe my voice is a little bit lifted now. I don't sound so calm.
Nah, you good, man. That's you getting passion.
Yeah, but inside I'm calm. But it's only because of Arshun.
I see.
Because Arshun showed me what joy is. And joy is higher than love, baby.
Yes, sir.
It's higher than love.
Yes, sir.
And it was sporadic because it happened in Oshobo the year 1992 when I got initiated. And I started, doing some things with the Arshun people. They took me to the Grove. And when you remember you went to the Grove?
Oh, yeah.
And, I didn't know that house on the right, that main house there, that Susan Vanger, Aduni Orisha is her Orisha name, how she did her art and everything. That used to be the palace.
Man, listen.
That used to be the palace of Oshogbo.
Yes.
By the river.
Yeah. I remember when the guy was telling us.
I thought, oh, this is Arshun Shrine here. Yeah, it's that too. But that's the original palace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you talking about that. I remember the tour guide mentioning it, and then you find it out. You're like, wow, I never knew that. And I'm gonna tell you something that was amazing to me too, is the fact that when we were there, me sitting there just listening to you and Tolu Shitu talking about the impact that Susan Wenger had on Isheshe and Oshogbo. I never heard of that lady before that conversation. And then when I listened to y'all talking about it, I'm like, yo, this is amazing. Like, it was a really amazing conversation. And it really taught me a lot that, I never knew. Never knew.
Yes. Well, we can go have another show on Aduni Orisha or Susan Banger for sure and her impact.
Oh, yeah.
But, I say all that to say is that as the Arshun people began to take care of me, they gave me some things and what have you, and when I left Oshogbo that day, driving from Oshogbo to Lagos, I was in such a state of joy, inner joy, that I didn't even want to talk to nobody. And I kept that joy within me for 3 months.
Wow.
3 months I was having, I think the Hindu people would call it bliss. Some people would call it divine, devotion, whatever. But
Yeah.
I did. And I mean, I was floating for 3 months, Orisha baby, till my girlfriend said something to piss me off. She pissed me off, and that it went away. I couldn't get it back. Oh, I was so mad at her. I was mad at her. And guess what her name was?
Uh-oh.
E-Ray.
Oh!
E-Ray. E-Ray took my bliss away.
Wow. You talk about an oxymoron. Holy shit. Wow.
And I didn't regain that bliss or that joy, that's inner spiritual joy, until maybe around 15 years later.
Wow. That's crazy.
Maybe I was 38 when I got initiated to Ifa. So I was in my mid 50s or early 50s. And I got that joy back through Kriya Yoga, through scientific meditation.
Yes, sir.
And I, got initiated in the tradition as well. And I practiced diligently for years. I didn't miss a night or a day.
Yes.
Without devoted meditation. And it really began to calm my heart. It made me get rid of the angers, the anger that I'd had in my life, towards certain people or whatever.
Yeah.
And it soothed me. And really, I have to give praise to Obatala, because Obatala was the one who sent me in that direction. He said, go here. You need that science right there to add to your spiritual toolbox.
Yes, sir.
So that you can heal.
Yes, sir.
So the work that you have to do ahead, you can't go forward unless you're healed.
Yeah. I sure. That's real. And look, I'm gonna give you and Soyinka, a ton of credit for helping me get back on my path. I was just speaking about that with Baba Kara in regards to that, because I had fell off my meditation. Man, when I tell you, I'm so happy to be back in tune and back in alignment with it, and how much it helps everything, like the clarity, you know what I mean? Like the creativity, the patience, the everything. It just makes it so much better and easier to move through life when you are consistently tapping into spirit and allowing or immersing yourself, with spirit and tapping, plugging into the universe through meditation. It's a very powerful tool, extremely powerful.
You're resting. Essentially, you are sleeping but not sleeping.
Yes.
And when you get your rest, you're resting all the organs in your body. You're resting your nervous system. You're focused on Olodumare. You're focused on Ori. You're focused on all the various aspects and principles that we need to incorporate in our lives to make us more of a whole person.
Sure.
So this is the way forward. And Odu Ifa Ikao Tura Arimala talks about how he became, the Ifa literature talks about how Rumala became perfect through meditation.
Yes.
That's how Rumala became perfect. Or Rumala didn't become perfect through physical eba. He became perfect by returning deep within himself.
Sure.
And doing the inner work. That's why they say, Ifa says, after I initiate you, you have to initiate yourself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's the final initiation. That is the goal.
Yes, sir.
That is the goal. The goal is not how you do it. The goal is why you do it.
Sure. That's facts.
I get that twisted.
Yeah.
But we're practicing Isheshe to become better damn human beings.
Yes, sir. Yeah. What you say, Baba? It ain't what you know, is how you glow.
That's right.
Yeah. That's facts.
So these are the human weaknesses get in our way.
Yeah.
From making it an easy journey. You know what I'm saying? So you got to fight for this.
Yeah.
You got to fight for this. You got to work hard in order to make the changes. that you need to make, because we built up all these bad habits and, all of these other filters we put in front of us, and phobias and fears.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's
And
real.
it slows us down. It slows us down.
Yeah.
So it's important to teach the philosophy or the study of wisdom of Ifa. And probably more so than it is the rituals of Ifa.
Yes.
Because everybody's not going to get initiated. And they shouldn't. They shouldn't get initiated unless they're going to need it for their life. Yeah. But, the most important thing is to feel peace, harmony, and balance within you. And Ifa's philosophy contains all of that, all of those tools that you can put into place. And people, meditation is not a part of the Yoruba tradition. Oh, yes, it is, baby. Because they explained it in, I can't remember the pamphlet that was put out. They call it dynamic relaxation. I love that.
I like that too. That's what it is. Like I try to explain to people who don't meditate or are new to meditation that, to me, meditation is the equivalent. We always hear the phrase mind, body, and soul. So you work out your mind by reading, studying, researching, etc. You work out your body by lifting weight, exercising, cardio, etc. You work out your spirit by meditation. That's the equivalent.
Yes,
meditation
that's right.
Is the workout for the spirit.
Yes, that's a very good definition for it. It really, really is. And our parents been trying to teach us how to meditate since we were children. When they would say, sit down and shut up, boy. Because that's what we do. You're sitting down and you're shutting your damn mouth. So they've been trying to teach us how to meditate all that daggone time. You probably tried to teach your children how to do that too recently.
That's another call. Look, that's a whole nother. That's another series. Listen, I love them to life, but that's a whole other series. Look, and what I was about to tell you, I'm about to tell you, at 44, my mama still be teaching me, telling me to sit down and shut my ass.
Yeah, for real. That's right. You still gonna be a baby. She gonna give you orders for sure. Yeah. So this is it. Being quiet and biblically is when they say, "Go into thy closet and pray, close the door and pray to thy Father in secret." They're not talking about for you to go in your closet with all your clothes and shoes and all this kind of stuff and just lock yourself in.
Right.
Yeah. It's a metaphor for you to go within yourself and clean that mess out.
Yes,
because there's nothing more important than the purification of the heart. You can't live a sacred life. You can't live a holy life. You can't live a highly elevated life unless you purify that heart. You got to do that. So you going around and you got all the bling bling and all the accessories of a successful life, but you feel like SHIT inside.
Yes, sir.
Because the goal is to have that feeling of peace, harmony, and balance within you. Everything else can look good on the outside, but on the inside, that's where all the damage and danger is.
Yeah. No, listen,
so we can't be true. We can't even be true with ourselves, honest with ourselves, because this is all blocked up, the heart chakra.
Yes, sir. No, I love that, Baba, for real, because that's been a running theme on the channel, man, on the platform. It's just like, I see so many times where people get, initiated, or they get these titles and chieftaincies and kings and queens, all this different stuff. But it's like those same people, some of them, they'll take that and then use it to put it on some high horse for them to kind of put themselves up on a pedestal, and they're not doing nothing for the people. So it's like, so it goes back to what you always say. It ain't what you know, is how you glow. So how are you using your glow to pour into your people?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing where,
Can you imagine where you'll be if you know and glow?
Yeah, I'm looking at it on the screen.
I'm saying that's the
I do. Actually, I mean, but no, it's real. I'm gonna tell you, no, seriously though, Baba, like, for real, you and Yeye and Baba Karaday and all, y'all are like extremely influential in regards to my path and my journey and why I'm doing what I'm doing now. But I love the fact that all of y'all have a royal title, all these different attributes and accolades that you've acquired through the years of service, which every one of y'all deserve, but y'all don't mention it. Y'all don't talk about it. You ain't throwing it in nobody's face. Y'all are all about doing the work. And the people who know you, we celebrate y'all, we elevate y'all, we revere y'all because we know the work that you've done to get to where you are. But I've never heard not one of y'all throw your title or throw any of those accolades and all the things that you've acquired out or throw it around like throwing weight around or puffing your chest. If anything, y'all are all doing the opposite. And for me, that's how I know this is a divine alignment with my path, because I'm the same way. I don't care about all that other stuff. I care about doing the work. The scoreboard is going to speak for me. I don't have to speak about that stuff. And that's where I love the way y'all do what y'all do, because you would never know the things that you've done if you didn't know about you. I learned things about you when I had the daughters on here, when I had all the girls, the queens on here a while back. I learned things about you that I didn't even know, but I wasn't surprised. I know you're not going to tell me these things, but they were talking about all the ways that you influenced them, through their lives, how you have molded them with the culture, with Ifa. And I'm just like, wow. But I wasn't surprised by it. I was impressed by it. But that's where I feel like I want to do my best to kind of pour into the people, to let us all know that we don't have to brag or boast or, flex with the things that we accomplish. Let's just continue to work together and nation build, and let that be how, we speak about what we've done and, who we are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Orumila was a servant. And, being a servant, that's really a great thing. Many of the Ifa priests, in the smaller villages and towns and in the bush, they live very humble lives. Money is not part of the game for them, so to serve Orumila is their reward. And the wisdom that they gain from the devotion that they have by the chanting, the praying, the work that they do. And once again, if you can control your thoughts, you won't suffer. Our thoughts are the main cause of our suffering. You can imagine to live out on a farm, with beautiful coconut trees and all the different wonders of nature around you all the time, and you're an elder, and or like I say, you're a teenager.
I like that.
You're a teenager.
Yes,
you have
sir.
another
I like
kind
that.
of freedom. You got less responsibility, because a lot of times teenagers ain't got no responsibility.
I like that.
So the teenager, some of your responsibilities drop off.
Yes, sir.
That's in Ejiobe too. And talk about Orumila, how Orumila talked about, as when you get older, what's going to happen is that your children are going to grow up. They're going to start handling their responsibilities, and you have less responsibility. You can handle your own.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be as concerned about, what the children are doing, because you did your part, you fed them.
That's sure.
And then Ogun Meiji, it says, if you feed people, they can't kill you.
Listen.
So, in that Oduipa, Orumila stole Death's wife.
Yes,
I used to be able to chant these verses in English. I don't chant in Yoruba because I like to know what I'm saying. So Orumila stole Death's wife, and he had gotten permission. He did that ball or something like that before he decided. But he loved Death's wife. He stole Death's wife, and so when Death found out that Orumila stole his wife, then he got his club and, he went to find Orumila. But on the way to find Orumila, he ran into Eshu. And Eshu greeted Death, said, "Hi, Death, how you doing?" Death said, "I'm fine, how you doing?" He said, "I'm okay." He said, "Well, where you going, Death?" Death said, "I'm going to find Orumila." He said, "Well, what's your hurry?" He said, "Orumila stole my wife." So, and he said, "I'm going to take my club and I'm going to kill him." And so Eshu told Death, "Hey, just calm down, man. Come on, have a seat, eat, drink with me for a little while, then you can go." Well, Eshu gave him the food that Orunmila had given Eshu.
Mm.
So Eshu fed Death, and Death ate to his satisfaction, got up, got his club, and he started to go again. And Eshu said, well, where you going, Death? He said, I told you I was going to kill Orunmila.
Mm.
And Eshu says, well, look, the food that you just ate belonged to Orunmila.
Mm.
You can't eat a man's food and then turn around and kill him.
Mm.
And now Death sat back and thought about it, and he realized Eshu was telling the truth.
Wow.
And he said, tell Orunmila that he can keep the woman.
Wow.
And Death took his club, went back home.
Wow.
And so, of course, it says Orunmila started to dance. Orunmila started to rejoice. You know, he gave praise to his diviners, and his diviners gave praise to Ifa, and Ifa gave praise to Olodumare. That's
Wow.
how the verse ends. Beautiful verse.
That's dope. I like that.
Yeah.
So that's
So when you
essentially
feed
part
people,
of the
you can't
process.
kill you. That's why.
So
Look, feeding people is called Olubobo Tiribo Baba Eba. The king of all Ebas is feeding people's mouths. If you want to get rid of evil in your life, charity, donation, kindness to others who are vulnerable and who are in need. This is why the Africans have these big parties and they invite everybody, give them free food, and they spend a lot of money on parties. You know that over there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had a few.
But after that party, because of all the well wishes of people who are drinking and eating your food,
Yeah.
that energy will wipe away evil from your life.
Wow.
No matter how temporary, it'll get rid of it.
Mm.
Because all these people are wishing you well. How many people, when I came over your house and had that pizza that your wife made, somebody made that pizza.
Yeah,
I don't know
she
what
made it. That was her. Look, I ain't taking credit for that. That was her.
It was the most delicious thing I've eaten in my life. Now, you think
Man.
I'm gonna sit up there and bite into that pizza and call y'all names? You know, I'm gonna talk about how bad you are and all that.
Yeah.
I'm eating this wonderful food.
Yeah.
I don't know nobody do that. I've never met nobody cuss you out while they eating your food.
You know, that's food for thought right there, for real. That's
It is. Look, all
strong
F
food
bars.
for thought.
When you doing that bar and you gotta throw it into the woods, you ain't
Yeah.
gonna tell me that those buzzards aren't happy to
Yeah.
get that meal, or those
Yeah.
ants or those insects is eating that
Yeah.
bird.
Yeah.
You making them happy too.
Yeah. Oh,
So you're
yeah.
setting up a vibrational frequency of happiness.
Mm.
That's
Wow.
another aspect of that ball.
Mm.
You use it to feed people or to feed life itself.
Yes, sir.
So people say, oh, you're wasting the bird, you know, the bird going out. No, that bird is being consumed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's powerful, man. Look, that's that's powerful. Like that. Look, you feeding me some strong food for thought today, because I'm telling you, like,
I
for real.
better feel, I don't want you to kill me. I'm going to keep putting food in your mouth. Shit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, look, you ain't got nothing to worry about that. You ain't got nothing to worry about. No, sir. Nah, not me, buddy. No.
Yeah. So getting back to what we was talking about before. So after the Ifa initiation, and of course the Shango initiation came later.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it was like an amazing journey for me, because right after that, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with the title.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it was given to me in a dream years ago, so it must have been for me, but what am I gonna do?
Right. Right.
And it wasn't 2 weeks later. Here I am in Oshobo looking for some batiks, because I love batiks.
Mm.
And they took me to Adebayo,
Right.
Moritala,
Yes,
Bulldozer, the blind genius.
yes, sir. My man.
Yes.
Yes,
And I
sir.
heard his voice, and there was something that was in his voice. I said, I like him.
Yeah.
You know, this is a good man.
He's a special spirit, man. Special soul.
Special spirit. And
Very
so
special.
I didn't know he was blind, you know, until, you know, but I was observing. I said, this guy moves differently. And then when I found out, I brought some things from him. And eventually he came to Ghana, because he used to live, he's got family in Kumasi too.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, look, why don't you stay at, the Balogun's office in East Legon in Ghana?
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
can come there, we'll put you and your wife up. And that's when I discussed with him about, how he came about his blindness and whatever. And I said, well, Baba, don't anybody, how much support you have? No, I
Right.
said, do you get any support? He said, Baba, I'm blind. He said, people don't take people with quote unquote varying abilities or disabilities, don't take them that seriously. They think you're trying to beg,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So
Mm.
the perception of people who have varying abilities, that they like to call it now instead of disabilities, is
Mm.
that they don't have any abilities.
Mm. Mm.
And I've met engineers who are blind. I've met people who, look, they make furniture in Ghana. The blind people do. They are tailors. They sew and they're blind.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this, and then we're not even talking about the physical problems that a person can have. They
Right.
still can use their arms and what have you. Their
Mm-hmm.
feet. So I've seen all kinds of wonderful things throughout Africa with people with varying abilities, and even here too as well. But definitely there, where it's more in your face.
Yeah.
So that then I realized what the title was for.
Mm.
The title was for supporting people who had very good plans already mapped out, for helping the most vulnerable people with varying abilities, for doing programs for primary school students, because nothing's better, and I will say it again and again and again, nothing's better than experiencing happy children. It's pure joy. And I had that experience in 62 children,
Mm.
watching 62 children enjoy.
Yeah.
You've been there, you saw it.
Yeah. No, that's powerful. And I
You were
didn't
there.
want to interrupt. Yeah, yeah, I didn't want to interrupt, but it's powerful. I'm gonna share because we've got a lot of, I give thanks. I say this with all due humility too, but we have a lot of new supporters and subscribers to the channel, so they may not know, but we actually did an interview with Mr. Adebayo, and where we shared, the Three Good Hearts movement and the work that
That's
we're
good.
doing with the school. So I'm gonna share that
Yeah,
on
good.
this episode,
Good.
y'all. So if y'all, if you're new to the channel and you didn't see
Mhm.
the interview that I did with the Balogun Shango, as well as Mr. Adebayo and Mr. Abdul, I'll put that in the link here in the description so they can see that. But yeah, and I'm gonna tell you another thing, Baba. I've always had a special place in my heart for people who have variant abilities, and I think I didn't know then, but I know now it's the Obatala in me, and I know now what
Yeah.
Obatala, how that excuse me that unfolds with him and his traits. But one of the things that blew me away, and I've said it on the last interview with you guys that I'm gonna share, as well as this one, but when I met him, because mind you, I think we spoke a few times on the phone, but when I met him, I'll never forget him asking me, "Do I play basketball?" And I remember, I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm looking around the room like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Yeah, you play basketball?" Like, "Oh yeah, I love basketball. Like that's my thing. That's what I do." And he was like, "How tall are you? You probably about 6'2". I was like, "Yeah." And I'm looking confused and like just bewildered, like dumbfounded, like, "Yo, how's this dude, keeping this?" But what I realized is what I've thought in retrospect. I'm like, "Yo, just because his two physical eyes ain't working, I feel like he still has a very, very accurate third eye. Like his third eye is on
Yeah,
swole.
that's right.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
radar.
It's like, yes." And so it
Yeah.
made me think about Cyclops from X-Men.
Uh-huh.
Made me think about the character Cyclops from X-Men. Because if I'm
Hmm.
not mistaken, I think he was like blind, so he had to wear that visor around his eyes, but his eyes were so
Okay.
powerful that they were like lasers, like they would strike stuff down. So it's
Right,
like
right.
I feel like
That's
that's
right.
similar to like Mr. Adebayo with
Yeah.
his gift, man, because his clothing is
Yeah.
dope. He made better
Yeah.
clothes than people with both eyes, real.
It's
So
true.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal
Yeah.
experience. It really was. It really
Well, he
was.
picked up your vibrational frequency. He picked it up. He sized it up. Let's put it
Mm,
that.
yes,
Sized
sir.
up. He sized up your astral body.
Yeah, he did that.
That's
He
what he
did
did.
that.
He
He did
sized
that.
up your astral body. And also, which good leads in real quickly, I'm gonna just put this plug in, is that we have already initiated a program to interview and have a documentary with people with varying abilities for them to tell us what they feel and what they see, and how living in this earth, on this earth, under those types of challenges, how does that affect their perspective about life, about other human beings, about love, cruelty, neglect, all that. And I think that's really important to hear from them, you see, because a lot of us, when we confront or come upon people with varying abilities, we tend to try to look away, or if we can, or make a brief eye contact. But many people don't know how to engage people like that.
Yeah.
They don't know how to engage them. But once we using the office, I know I'm all over the place here.
No, you're good, man. Trust me.
The office of the Balogun Shango got its start there. By supporting African Craft Shop slash the Adebayo.
And Three Good Hearts.
His business of batik making, tie and dye, and other things that him and his wife do.
Gotcha.
So we launched it. I think we did a big program for the joint organization for people with disabilities in Nigeria, in Ede. Around 20 miles or so, 25 miles from Oshogbo. That was last November. So actually, that was like a year ago. That was the first start of Balogun Shango, the Office of Balogun Shango, actively participating in its purpose.
Yes.
You see, so that's how it began to form. And then in December, we actually had our grand opening of Three Good Heart, which is the NGO, the non-government organization, and the office of my office of Balogun Shango is the fundraising arm of that NGO of Three Good Heart, which I'm a co-founder of that. So we have Adebayo as a co-founder. It's really his vision. So Blind Man is the one with the vision.
Right.
And his vision was to teach, tie and dye, batik, to people with, varying abilities. And so, the Office of Balogun Shango said, okay, I'll raise money and fund that. Not even knowing how rewarding it was going to all be.
Yeah.
You see, so when we had the grand opening in December of last year, then we saw the next move was to support primary school students. And we happened to find the only Isheshe school in Arshun State. You see, the only Isheshe school in Arshun State. In Ejibo, that's the town, Ejibo.
Yes, sir.
And you were there with us.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know what we did. We paid school fees for 62 children for the year. We brought them shoes. We paid for their books, school supplies, and we gave them backpacks that Adebayo designed.
Yes. That's it.
And of course, your father even made a donation.
Yeah.
Gave you money to make a donation for that.
Yeah. Shout out to Pops, man. He did.
Yeah, that's right. So that was a beautiful experience. And then we just knew, of course, we met the king of Ejibo, the Oba Ejibo, very wonderful man. And he told us the history of the school, the only Isheshe school in Arshun State. It's only one.
Yeah.
There's a million Islamic schools and all that. So this is why the Balogun Shango office needs that our responsibility is to put out the cry to Isheshe people who care. Look, we have to create an army of people who care. And even though we're spread out here and there, we're not concentrated enough. We don't trust each other. But there's wonderful people out there who care.
Yeah.
So our office is to be the spearhead of this, this flight toward making important contributions to our people who are in need. And I've had people say, oh, Baba, you need to do that over here. I said, come on now. I can take $1,000 and help 62 people in Ejibo.
Right.
Over here, I can only buy 3 pair of tennis shoes.
Right. You're lucky to get 3 days worth of food the way this foolishness is going. Like, for real though, you know. So like,
Exactly.
you're lucky to
Come
get 3
on
days
now.
worth of food the way this damn toilet bowl of a corporation that they call a country
Yes.
is. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's help people who need it, people who are worthy of it, people who will appreciate it. And nobody's going to appreciate your love and your care and your attention than the most vulnerable people in society, people with varying abilities and children.
Yep. Yeah. Nah, it was powerful. I was truly honored just to be, you know, a part of it, man, because it really, it pleased my soul. It really did, because to be there
That's
and
it.
to see it, you know, like just knowing the work that y'all were doing before I got the opportunity to even come, it made me proud, you know, just to have the opportunity to work with you, but to actually be there and to do the work and to see the impact, man. And I'm gonna put a clip into this video as well of when we arrived on the scene and how the children ran up to the car. And like just the amazement and the excitement that they had to see you, because they know how much you've done for them and what you've poured into them. And I'm just like, yo, I'm looking at a rock star, man. Like, for real. I mean, literally, like, it was like, it was dope. It was dope.
The Office of the Balogun Shango is the people's organization.
Sure.
You know, we really, you know, we've got 6 Oloyes, which you're one, you're the Jagun Shango. You've got your own department. You know, we have an Ialode, we have Oloye Esa. So we've got these different, and you know, this is what they authorized me to form here in the U.S. You know, I'm not the Balogun to everybody, I'm Balogun USA.
Yeah.
You know, so therefore, you know, we are creating a reputation. Let's build better reputations, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on now. There are individuals who are doing wonderful things. There are temples who's making donations. There are people I know personally in the Isheshe movement who are very loving and supportive of the community. It's true. But we have to come together collectively because it's greater work that needs to be done. And we can do more unified than we can individually.
United we stand, divided we fall.
Yes. So, you know, everything else, you know what they say, money talks, BS walks, or whatever they want to say.
Bullshit walk 1,000 miles.
Right. This is not a, you know, we can be like fish in a well, swimming around in a circle. We're moving, but we're going in a circle. How many bimbays can we go to? How many rituals can we do? How many other acts of worship can we do? And not see the problems and the tragedies that's happening around us all the time. And we can relieve it as a group. We can relieve it. Let's use the ancestors as our motivation.
Sure.
You know, because we can't always use Ifa, because the Akan got their own tradition. The Zulus got their own tradition. We can go on and on. There are many wonderful African spiritual systems. Let's start talking about that. They're all worthy of honor and praise. So we don't become tribalistic on this side of the water.
Yeah.
We can't become tribalistic on this side of the border. You see, so you got, you know, Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, you know, Ga, all these different traditions. In some places, there are still tension.
Oh, yeah.
There's still tension going on. And that gets in the way of unification. You see?
Yeah. And you know what, Baba? And it reminds me, I had a elder on here. She's a Moor, and she's a third generation Moor, actually. And we were talking as well. Powerful conversation, very powerful queen elder. And you know, when we were talking, I was telling her about why Ashe is what it is, what the vision from the ancestors, or from the, you know, from the guys that, you know, I'm thankful for just being the messenger. But I was, you know, we spoke about how people, we don't work together. we don't unite together. We don't come together. I was like, yeah, it reminds me of what Malcolm said. Religion is not working for us, obviously, because we still haven't figured out how to use it to get the foot of the oppressor off our neck. So we need to put the religion and all that in the closet and work on nation building, unifying, like you said, and working together, and then we can figure out how to disseminate and separate all the other BS later. Right now, we can figure out how to get this nation built.
Yeah. Well, my teacher would say, what you do is what you worship. That's what your worship is. What you do, that is your ministry. That is your destiny as a spiritual healer. Is to produce something beneficial, something elevating, something inspirational. That's the work going forward. Because look, we can dance and sing to the Orishas. Look, it's very enjoyable and very inspiring. But it's not going to build a state. It's not going to build a nation. And the culture is wonderful because at least we ain't out. We don't have to go to the movie theater, even though some of us like movies, but you can stay home and watch TV. We don't have to go to the football game or what have you. We can be together singing and chanting and giving honor and testimony. It's important that we come together and give testimony so that we can inspire other people that our spiritual deities and entities and ancestors, this is what they've done. And there are people making testimony.
Yeah.
You see? So we have to talk about that too. We have to do more testimonies about our wonderful mythical and mystical experiences and blessings or benefits that we have gained by following this path. Remembering, Orumila says, no religion is better than any other religion. They all can produce that. If you're sincere. See, the key is you being sincere.
Yes, sir.
So if you're a sincere Muslim, that means if you move over to Christianity, you're going to be a sincere Christian.
Yeah.
If you're a sincere Christian and you move over to Orumila and Ifa, then you're going to be a serious and sincere devotee of Ifa. The quality is separate from the religion. The quality is who you are. Somebody came to me, not somebody. I went to this elder lady. She was 80 years old. And she looked at me and she said, who are you? She sat me down and asked me, who am I? Oh, I was like, I'm struggling. I struggled with trying to get the words out of my mouth to answer that question. And I was kind of insulted a little bit because I was like, well, why are you asking me this? I'm not in school. But she intimidated me. But then every time I tried to explain to her or give to her an answer, she shook her head, no, that ain't it. Then I forced myself to relax and say, wait a minute, she's asking a valid question. Who am I? And how many people would struggle with that if you come up to somebody, say an elder sets you down and asks you, who are you? Answer that. Answer that question. Most of us will go, oh, I'm a teacher, I'm a lawyer, I'm a mechanic or whatever, and then the elder looks at you and says, no. And you think of all the different things that you thought you are or that you think you are. And that is not the right answer. So I slowed down and relaxed and really began to use some of the things and techniques that I learned in meditation, by doing scientific meditation. And then Spirit says she's looking for the inward question, not what you are outwardly, but what you are inwardly. What are the qualities of your soul? And when I began to give her that answer in that way, when I start expressing what I knew as the qualities, the positive qualities, because you can have positive qualities and negative qualities, So the positive qualities, or what I like to call the celestial qualities of the soul. And all of us have this in us, but a lot of times, we've been damaged, from trauma and other experiences in life. So I dug down deep and I gave her those answers and she said, yes, that's what I want to hear. So if you really, or any of us want to really know who we are, take the time and be honest with yourself about your qualities, both positive and negative. You see.
Can't run from you.
Yeah, you can. And you know, interesting enough, when you incarcerated and you in prison, a lot of my clients are that. That's my work, is to work with incarcerated men. What they do is they say, "Oh, I'm gonna punish you. I'm gonna put you in the hole." In other words, I'm gonna put you with you.
Yeah.
And that's gonna drive your ass crazy.
Yeah.
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 Because if you don't go in and practice, you know, the inward, do the inward work, then you used to distractions and always having people around and all that, and somebody put you by yourself, and you don't even know, because once you go in and say, well, who's this person in here?
Yeah.
I've never met this person. I ain't spent no time with him. I don't even like him.
Yes. That's a real
I don't
thing.
even like this person that's in me, or this personality or that spirit within me that I haven't tried to meet him. I haven't tried to, you know, have any kind of dialogue.
That's a real thing.
So the psychologists in the prison system, they know what they're doing. They're going to punish you by putting you with you.
Yeah.
So I tell my clients, I said, or my men, my sons, really, I said, look, this is the best time for you to meditate. Isolation is the price of greatness.
Oh man,
The more time you spend with yourself, the more time you will get to know thyself. So the Office of the Balogun Shango has other programs in slate. One is an Ifa meditation temple to introduce group meditation to the Ifa community. Look, there are many people meditating already in the Ifa community, but it's not a group policy for temples. Guess what? That has to be changed.
I know that's right.
That has to be changed, and if not by under force, but under light, by becoming the light. You know, we have to become astral lights, ancestral lights. You see, ancestral lights for the movement of Isheshe in America, in particular, and eventually to spread over there too.
Oh yeah.
Because our advantage that we have in this part of the world is that we have not let tribalism hurt us. We don't have to let that happen. So as much as I love Yoruba culture and tradition, I'm not going to diss or separate from the love that I have for the Zulu tradition, the Sangomas.
Yeah.
Because I am a Sangoma. I got initiated to the Zulu system too.
I sure.
You see? So that was I used that to support me all these years until eventually I got initiated to Egungun. But, you know, the Zulu, the Sangoma tradition is a tradition that's really ancestral based. You know, they don't have Orisha type entities or deities as we do.
Wow.
You see. So, you know, we have to be, once again, Pan-Africanists in our spiritual practices. I feel we should. I'm not going to say we have to be. But you've got people who are so conservative, you know, that they're going to say, oh, this ain't an Ifa. That ain't an Ifa. You know, knowledge, Ifa's knowledge and wisdom of everything in the world, not just on this territory in Yoruba land. And even the people who are in Yoruba land, a lot of them migrated from other places to Yoruba land.
Yeah.
There's a constant move of migrations and, you know, immigration, you know, throughout the world for thousands of years. We can't know all that.
That's facts.
So the Ifa meditation temple, you know, we are preparing to launch travel packages.
Oh yeah.
As we discussed for the office of Balogun Shango, we're going to be doing tours to Africa, to Ghana, In particular, the tours will involve, real estate tours. You want a business? We'll give you a business tour.
Mm-hmm.
Take you to various parts where you can purchase land, where you can get a house on the Volta region, the Volta River, Okosombo, Kumasi, the Cape Coast, Elmina.
Mm-hmm.
And we got boots on the ground now.
Oh yeah.
And have had so. For over 3 years, almost 4 years, we've been boots on the ground over there. So you're not going as a tourist. You're going to be immersed in the Ghanaian tradition.
Yes, sir.
If you want to explore the Akan spiritual tradition, the priests there, the Gan spiritual tradition, the Ewe, we got all of that already set up.
Yes, sir.
So now we're putting out the call. We're putting out the call to African spirituality experience through the Sheshe Post, which is sponsored by the office. So, we're making the call out now, and we got a host of other wonderful things that we ain't said nothing about yet.
Man. Yeah, one of them you shook me up real good before we got on the air with.
Hey,
man,
this is real. This is real.
Listen.
Like Baba Ifa Karade said.
Yeah.
He said, look, I'm putting the work in. He said, I'm a dive my boots on, basically.
Both of y'all putting the work in, man.
Yeah,
Listen, y'all
it's things to do. It's things to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Y'all motivate me for real.
Yes. But then look, after you learn everything that you can learn, and you can't learn everything, but after you learn how to do everything that you make you culturally astute, making you somewhat a legend of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, whatever you want to call it, in this culture that we call the Yoruba culture.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? After you've done all that, what's next? Because we have to grow, else we get bored. And a lot of elders who people no longer see in the community, it's not they don't want to come out. It's that y'all doing the same old thing.
Yeah.
There's nothing new.
Yeah.
And not only that, then our legs start to hurt and our feet start to hurt. We can't be out there dancing anyway. We be out there watching y'all dance, but we can't do that no more. Listen, but you got to have, as you move up in age, you have to begin to put forth even a better effort than you've ever put in before, so that you can squeeze 1,000 years out of the last 30 or 40 years of your life in the physical body before you have to leave.
That's it.
So we put the call out because we know we have these wonderful opportunities to start putting together a way to govern ourselves. Because remember when we were in the palace, the Oni of Ife's palace, and you showed me the map that was up on the wall with, like you said, the planets and the Orishas, paired with the various planets in our solar. You see, and I looked up and I saw Shango, Kawo Kabiesi. And in bright and big letters, it said humanitarian. That's it, baby. Then I was on after that. I said, oh, okay. This is how I use my office.
That's it.
Human beings in brown, black, yellow, orange bodies, whatever. You see. And we raise money. So we can raise money. I'm telling you, we can go over there in that school in Ejibo. If we had $5,000, we can make that school a magnet school. And already what we did, Orisha Bami, if I by day, what we did, I was told that the administrator of the school in Ejibo, parents were rushing to enroll their children in that school because of what we did.
Wow.
They were increasing. Yes.
That's what's up.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, that's dope.
They were bringing their children to an Isheshe school, and they wasn't even Isheshe.
Wow. That's dope. Yeah. That's the power of Ifa, man. The power of spirit.
1,000 people, 500 people giving $10. We got $5,000, baby.
Yes, sir.
You ain't gonna tell me ain't 500 Isheshe people in America who care.
Right. Right.
And we got all this stuff documented. We ain't telling them what we're gonna do. We've already done it. It's in process.
Mm-hmm.
Let's finish this. Let's complete it. And then we can say the only Isheshe school in the whole of Arshun State. It was our community here in the United States who saw the need to support children and change their lives. And they'll remember us even when they get older and they get into universities around the world or in their own, they'll remember those new books and those shoes that they had to walk to school. And they'll know it came through us. That's what the ancestors want us to see. We just can't go to Africa to go through ceremonies. Let's contribute. They watching us. Those invisible spirits that we pray to and make sacrifices all the time, they looking at everything we do.
Oh, yeah.
Not just what we say and the offerings we bring. You got to turn it into action. Let's stop playing. So we're turning this into action now. And not only that, when you take care of children, you will have the EME support.
Yeah, Jay.
Because the greatest anger of the EME is directly connected to how we treat children. Child abuse, predators, all kinds of abuse toward children. And this can go up to upper age. It ain't got to be just little kids now.
Oh, yeah.
You know? But the mothers don't play. Any mother doesn't play when it comes to children. Matter of fact, a lot of women don't play, whether they have children or not when it comes to children.
I don't want no problems with none of them. Not the mothers, not the EME, not the IJ. I don't want no problems.
Exactly. And when you look at Osheotura, the 17 Irumele, you know, the 17 Irumele that Olodumare sent to earth, and one woman, Arshun, you know. So even though the men were doing what Olodumare said, they was like, you know, no, Arshun, we don't want to have nothing to do with you. And so Arshun just blocked it.
Yep. How did that work out?
Okay. Right. It didn't work out well. It didn't work out well at all.
Yeah, you don't mess with the mothers. No, sir.
Yeah. So, you know, we have to have the support of the EME because the EME are supreme.
Yes, sir.
And not only the Ifa tradition, but all traditions.
Yes, sir.
So when you got them on your side, you cannot fail.
Yes, sir.
Doors will open.
Yes, sir. Well, look, I think that's a mic drop right there, Baba. I think that's a mic drop for real. I think that's a mic drop. Because this was, man. It's I give thanks first and foremost. I really do, because it's been an amazing journey, man. And I'm still, you know, it's still like pinch me to see if it's real, you know, with all the things that's going on, what's happening, and so fast, you know, and just see it all unfold and manifest, and the way it's happening, you know, rapidly. It's a beautiful thing, and I just can't wait to see, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the line, the work, you know, that's being done, the foundation that's being set, and how beautiful it's going to be, you know, the impact and the legacy of the office and all the work, you know, that you're doing and that, you know, we're doing collectively to add.
That's right.
You know,
Right. Yeah. Well, we were fortunate to be able to centralize as a group and have, you know, clear purposes and, you know, everybody agreeing to the purpose that we want to achieve. We got a good chance. But once again, even still, you know, every day you die. and then you're reborn the next morning
To live another day.
to live another day with very similar challenges, or different challenges even.
Yeah.
So potential to make mistakes or opportunities. So every day, everything. The clock is everything. Really, it's like it just repeats itself.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be careful that the next day that you get up, that you don't lose a lot of the enthusiasm or the will that you had yesterday.
Mm.
Because of one thing or the other.
Right.
So, that's when people backslide and they wind up losing the willpower to complete something. But we got to remember, the Yorubas don't read no books about Yoruba religion.
Mm. That part. Yeah.
They don't read no books about that. They live it.
Yeah.
It's a way of life.
Yeah.
But over here, we can't live just like that.
Right.
We don't have the infrastructure. Everything's not built like that over here.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what we do, we are our own ethnic group.
Mm.
Mr.
Mm.
Water.
Mm.
But it gives us an opportunity to take advantage of being a Pan-African spiritualist.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
see, we don't have, once again, tribalism has held and still holds a lot of issues in Africa.
Mm.
And people have histories and memories. Well, that tribe sold my people into slavery.
Yeah.
And he lived, that ethnic group lived 10 miles down the road.
Yeah.
And the stories are still there about what happened 120, 30 years ago.
Yeah. A lot of trauma.
And in reality, it wasn't a whole tribe. It was a political move by the ruling class and their military.
Yep.
Who captured people. Regular people didn't order that stuff.
Right.
They didn't order that attack upon that other village.
It was the greed of the leaders.
That's right. So we pray that we have better leaders, that we lead better.
Mm-hmm.
Because that stuff can trickle down.
Oh, yeah.
If the core is rotten, then we know the rest of the story.
Mm.
Know the rest of the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
But certainly, we will be broadcasting more and advertising and letting people know what the office of the Balogun Shango USA is and what the departments that each Oloye, each chief will have control over, and how we work together for the Sheshe community in this country.
Sure.
Yes. So it's not a selfish thing we're doing here. We came to serve. We came to serve. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to serve the Sheshe community.
Ashe. Yeah, man, I love it, Baba. And look, I'm on the way out, I'm gonna quote you again. And one of the things I learned from you that I think is dope is that we can't just rely on just being priests. We should definitely be challenging ourselves to be therapriests.
Yes.
And just during therapy to our people, priests. So that's a dope. Another dope lesson I got from you. So I definitely want to share that. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
It's healing. It's not fortune telling.
Yes, sir. That's facts.
It's the healing. Use your divination. Use your priestly skills and skill sets to heal people and to raise their vibrational frequency through positive energy. Positive words, hope. Just don't sit there and divine and say, "Oh, I see death."
Yeah.
Oh God, that scared the hell out of me.
That's a whole.
I can't tell you how many times I've had a priest tell me that.
That's what I'm saying. That's a whole
one time, that's all the guy told me. The one guy, he said, "Oh, I see death," because he couldn't speak English. I think he was Cuban. And look, he was telling the truth, and I guess essentially that was the thing that he saw. But it's like, say something that the Odu will show you to lift my spirit so that I can grow.
Right.
And not just put me in a fear vibration.
Right.
Because Because you're going to face death all the time anyway.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, every day we face it in some way.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be a physical death. It can be death of the soul, death of happiness, you know,
ego.
death of ego, right? It can be many types of deaths or endings, I like to say.
Death of fear,
Yeah.
complacency, you know.
Yes.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right.
Man. Yeah, so that was dope, Baba. I appreciate it. I do. I appreciate it. I appreciate you and all that you do. And yeah, I look forward to doing it again. I can't wait till we do it again.
Okay. My thanks to you and Ashe for you know, doing the work that you're doing for the community.
Ashe. Nah, it's an honor and a pleasure to serve, Baba. And I give thanks for, you know, you and all that you're doing, and all of my elders and all the, you know, people who poured into me and blessed me with your getting me the opportunities to sit at your feet and learn, man. I do my best to take that knowledge and information and pour it right back into, you know, anybody who I cross paths with, you know, and that's what it's about. So
that's what we do. That's what we do.
Yes, sir. Well,
yeah, I
ladies
like
and
to
gentlemen,
always refer to my teachers and say, the teachers say, to do my best to take ego out of everything.
I like that.
Take ego out of everything and give it to where you got it from, because there's nothing new. Everything is already here.
That part.
It's in the physical, it's in the ether, you know, it's in the astral, it's in the ideational world, it's here.
Yeah.
Well, you just got to get access to it. So there's no original creators except the original creator.
Right. Yes, sir.
So look, I can go on with you. So you got to say goodbye so we can move on, because I know.
Yeah, I got you. Listen, we're gonna make it do what it do, man. But yeah, with that, ladies and gentlemen, another phenomenal conversation, phenomenal episode. I give thanks again to all the new subscribers, all the old subscribers, and everybody who's been showing love, you know, with the channel, with the After Spirituality Experience, with the Isheshe post, and with all things, you know, Isheshe and Ifa. I give thanks. And so with that, how about the Balogun, Shango, USA? You know, I give thanks, and we're gonna do it again in the very near future. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to our channel sponsor, Baba Ifa Banga for Orisa and Orisa Jen as well. And yeah, man, we're gonna make it do what it do. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I'm your host, Orisha Bami. Don't forget to please like, share, and subscribe, and we will see y'all on the next episode. We are out. Peace.
Peace.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé sàpò ìyàgbọ́ tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé eégún mo sí ẹni gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́. Forsake not your ancestors and praise your